After that, they watched Jax's memory projection of Rose's father for some time longer. He had apparently spent a great deal of time getting to know Jax before they parted, going their separate ways. And everyone enjoyed watching the show for a while, enjoying rolling through Jax's memories, before eventually they decided to get some rest. Mayri was kind enough to grow another Sky-Ray home, so that Jax and his wife could stay the night and await Rose's bloom, as there was still no telling when exactly it would happen. And Mayri and Rose cuddled up next to each other inside of their own Sky-Ray home, on that warm, fluffy bottom, that furry flower surface, cradling them to sleep, which Rose got to with a smile on her face, having enjoyed the time that she spent before going to sleep, and beginning to feel more and more at home in this little flower, her tiny new plant/canine companion, cuddled in right next to her, as they peacefully went to their rest. However, what awoke Rose was all but peaceful. Rose suddenly woke up. She was unable to tell what time it was, but from the measure of pain she was experiencing, she had no time to think of it. "Ah!" she cried out. "It hurts," she said, clinging to herself, holding her shoulders, as she pressed against the floor, trying not to cry out, an immense amount of pain emanating from her back. These cries quickly woke her mother. "Rose? Rose, are you okay?" her mother asked, beginning to check over her, as the flower home that they were staying in grew brighter, giving better illumination to the area within. There, Rose's mother noticed the bulb on her back had grown very large. It was now beginning to pulsate, the moving tendrils underneath, ebbing and flowing about wildly. "Mom, what's going on?" Rose cried. "It's happening. It's all right, Rose. I know it hurts, but it is only temporary. It will pass. The time has come. Your bloom has begun," Mayri said, pressing her forehead against Rose's. "It'll be okay. I'm right here, sweetheart. Come, we can't do this here," she said, as the flower began to open up, and she helped Rose to her feet, Rose still seeming as if she was in a great deal of pain. Because she was, as the flower finished opening, and Mayri carried Rose by the shoulder, helping her walk. Nearby, a second flower began to open, revealing Jax and Emily, who had seemingly been wakened by Rose's cries. "What's going on? Is everything okay?" they shouted as they saw Mayri trying to help Rose walk, traveling away from the Sky-Ray home. "It's time. Her bloom has begun. We must get to an open space," she said without any hesitation. Without even slowing down, she just continued to walk, helping Rose along with her. Rose was having a great deal of trouble staying on her feet, shocks of pain ringing through her body, a strong throbbing sensation emanating from her back. "Mom, is this normal?" Rose shouted. "Yes, Rose, it's normal. You mustn't worry. You will be okay. This pain is very short-lived. It will only last until you are finished blooming, which is going to be in any moment. Yes, there's not much time left. The process has already begun. Soon, Rose, you'll bloom," she said, continuing her quick trek, trying to be as delicate with Rose as she could, while still making a fair amount of distance. Eventually, they made their way off from under the large tree that Rose and her mother had grown together, farther off into the clearing, with open space. A full moon hung overhead that night. The skies completely clear. You could see every star, with not a cloud in sight. A strong breeze whipped in from the east, rushing by with cold air as they stumbled their way through the grass, finally stopping a great deal away from the primary tree that they had grown and the Skyray home. "Okay, this should be sufficient," she said, finally allowing Rose to kneel down, placing her in the long, soft grass around her feet. Rose bent over, still cradling her arms. "It hurts. Why does it hurt?" "It's okay, Rose," her mother replied. "It's all okay. It will soon be over. Just a few more moments. Just bear with me, Rose," her mother said, kneeling down in front of her, placing her forehead against Rose's. "No matter what, I am here. You are safe, Rose," she said, as Jax and Emily made their way out to the spot that they had chosen, keeping some distance, but still eyes glued on Rose and Mayrie, the large pulsating section on Rose's back, now putting off intense movement underneath her skin, when suddenly Rose's hair began to glow, at first dimly, growing more and more intense with every passing second, glowing a brilliant red. Rose cried out in pain again, clinging even tighter to herself, her nails beginning to dig into her arms. "Mom, it hurts," Rose cried. "It's okay. It's almost over. Just bear it a little bit longer," her mother replied, still cradling her, now holding Rose's head to her chest. "It's okay. It's all okay, Rose." It was at that point that Mayrie began to notice something. The grass around Rose and herself was beginning to grow longer and longer. At first it was only a few inches, but before long, nearly 1.5 feet of grass had extended itself up and was now ebbing in Rose's direction, bending, moving, beginning to grow towards her. What is that?" Rose's mother said as she saw the grass coming closer, growing in Rose's direction. What are you doing? Stop that!" Rose's mother cried out as the grass began to rapidly grow, beginning to encompass Rose's form, ensnaring her from all sides. Some grass even beginning to cling to Mayrie, beginning to pull her away. "What are you doing? Stop!" she called out, trying to pull away from the grass, but it was too strong, quickly overpowering her, beginning to pull her away. Is this normal?" "You're not acting like this is normal," Jax called out. "It's not," Mayrie replied. "I don't know what this is. This is not normal. I don't understand," she cried out, as the grass continued to envelop Rose. In a matter of moments, her entire form was gone beneath it. After moving Mayrie a distance away from Rose, the grass suddenly let her go, as if it were trying to fulfill a task and it had completed it, no longer holding her at bay, at least not physically, but large swaths of grass still grew and swirled around Rose's central position. Mayrie tried to rush back forward, but the grass formed a wall, like a wave of green, ebbing, flowing in front of where she tried to run. She tried running again in a different direction, only to receive the same result. "What's going on?" Mayrie said, staring at the grass. She kneeled down for a second, trying to commune with the elements. Why are you doing this?" she cried out, pressing her hands into the dirt and soft grass beneath her. "What?" Rose's mother replied. "What do you mean?" What are you doing?" Jax called out, sounding a little bit frantic at the moment, as Mayrie stood, hands pressed against the ground as if she was having a conversation. What do you mean? She's important? Why? I don't understand, Mayri said, looking down towards the grass, her hands pressed against it, fingers with blades of grass whirling between them. Mayri, what's going on? You might want to tell me something, because if you don't, I think I might start assuming the worst. I'm a powerful guy, you know. I can do something about this. That is, if something's wrong. It's nature, Rose's mother said. Nature is talking to me. What? Jax replied. I didn't think nature could do that. And nor did I, Rose's mother replied. In all of my years, nature has never, not even in any instance, actually coalesced a presence, a consciousness. But I can feel it, as if every living being, every plant on this planet has united into a single consciousness, one that's speaking to me. It's telling me that Rose is safe, that they're not harming her. They're telling me that Rose is important, that what's being done is important, and I can feel it. Their intentions, their desire, their will is pure. They have no ill intention against Rose. They're not harming her. Okay, well, maybe you want to tell your plant friends to explain what's going on, Emily shouted. They are, Mayri replied. They say that the Queen is waking up.